Hello. Today's lesson is 9-6 and it's called Estimating Fractions. Another difficult lesson today. You have learned to use fractions to describe part of a whole, such as in this picture, 1/4 of the circle is red. We see one part shaded red and 4 parts total. Today you will learn to use fractions to estimate part of a whole. Here in this picture, about 1/4 of the circle is red. We have to say about because we don't know for sure. There are no lines showing this circle broken into 4 equal parts. Here's the two pictures side by side. One shows on the left that 1/4 is red. On the right, we have to estimate that about 1/4 is red. Tell about something you have described using the phrase about half. In this picture, Mom said we can each eat about half of the ice cream. Students said other things that they had shared with somebody else and each gotten about half. Estimate the fraction that is red. So it's kind of hard to see on here, but you've got a gray bar, and some of that gray bar is red. How much would you say is red? About 3/4, 1/2, 2/3, or 1/4? I'm going to go through several of these, and I would like you to pause the video to think about each of these before you move on. 1/2 is red. Here's another one. Estimate the fraction that's red. It's definitely less than half, so it couldn't be 3/4 or 2/3. 1/4 is red. That means you could fit 4 of those red rectangles in the whole bar. One's already red, but you could fit 3 more for a total of 4. Estimate the fraction here that's red. It looks like more than half. 3/4 is red. Ooh, I see all red, no gray. What would the fraction be? We know that 4/4 is another way of saying 1. We talked about in any fraction, when the top number is the same as the bottom number, it's equal to 1. 1 whole. How about this one? What's the fraction that's red? Looks like less than half. It is 1/3, so that's saying you could fit 3 of those red rectangles in the bar altogether. Benchmark fractions is a word to know. Benchmark fractions. Benchmark fractions are commonly used fractions. They are the fractions that people use the most. As an adult, you'll use these fractions in all sorts of different ways throughout your life. So really need to get to know what they look like on a number line and just get used to these 5 very important fractions. I wanted the students to see what they look like, so I created a slide comparing the benchmark fractions. We talked about how some of these fractions have kind of big gaps between them and some of them have very small gaps. 1/4 to 1/3 is not a lot of difference, is it? 1/3 to 1/2 I'd say is more difference. 1/2 to 2/3 is kind of a large amount of difference. But look, again, a tiny difference between 2/3 and 3/4. So you're going to have to really pay attention to know where those fractions fall. I wanted to show them a different way what those fractions look like. So here it is on a different kind of presentation. Half right in the middle, and it's nice to see that 2/4 is the same as 1/2. It's another name for 1/2. 1/3 and 1/2 seem like they do have a big difference between them, but not true for 1/4 to 1/3. Again, it's a very small difference. 1/2 to 2/3 is a big difference, but 2/3 to 3/4 is a tiny difference. One more way of looking at this, the book has it broken down this way. They put 1/2 right in the middle, and then they show you what 1/3 looks like, and then they show you what it would look like broken into fourths as well. Kind of cool the way they did it. Okay, a couple from the book. Estimate the fractional part that is yellow. Use a benchmark fraction. So pause the video if you need to, but think about what fraction of that rectangle is yellow. 1/4 of the rectangle is yellow. What benchmark fraction should be written at point P? I see 0 on one side, I see the number 1 on the other, and then I see the number line broken into 3 equal parts. P would be 2/3. The first line would be 1/3, the second line would be 2/3, and 1 is another name for 3/3, so it makes sense. Jean is raking the leaves in her yard. About what part of the yard still needs to be raked? About half still needs to be raked. Reminding students to look at the book when they do their work. And that was it for today.